Good morning. Welcome to Satsang. You have to find yourself, not by finding it, by being it. It means you have to give up all kind of concepts about it, efforts to attain it, and the wish to experience it. That will leave you naturally in being it. That's all. If it is still not clear, if there is a yes but, please ask. As you know very well by now that the understanding will not do it also. Yeah. Good morning.
Yes, I like to see where I am in this.
In this affair.
Yes.
If you want to see where you are, there is I too much.
I see. That is clear. Who is I too much?
Okay. It can still appear, it can be there too much, but no, it's too much. And that too much will never bring truth.
Never brings?
The truth. The truth.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, one gone. Next.
No, I'm still here. This is the thing.
Says I. I is too much, I said.
Yes.
So don't listen what I tells you. What means too much? That you believe whatever I presents you. Then you feed I, so I gets too much. Instead of being as you always are, left as you are in your real nature, since it is that you want to realize. Don't you understand that whatever will be expressed cannot be expressed without uttering I, even if you very cunningly say a sentence without I, but I has to be there to have a sentence, isn't it? So, if you are interested in that, you are feeding the so-called reality of I that you believe you are. That's why you see it has to be a moment of total being struck or to see radically that I am not whatever I expresses. Because when I express, it's out. It's out. I see it. It's an expression of yourself. So you have not to confuse a limit expression of yourself for yourself. After all that, differences go, but before that, it has to be negate. Every expression has to be negate in the sense of you negate its reality. Because it's a limited expression, and you confuse yourself with the limited expression. That's the trouble, huh? What's there?
It's clear. I mean the point where
Yeah, but look, if it was so clear, you will be finally relieved, you will be free naturally. But you say it's clear, but. So it's a clarity in the mind. Why? If in the mind it's clear that the mind is an expression, will not bring you anything, don't listen to the mind anymore. About this, when you are dedicating a moment to this, that will be real clarity. You say yes with what? With the head, with the mind, with what?
it's clear.
Who says that? Your head, your mind, your what? It's no more clear. If it was really clear, you would not speak with your head or with your mind. It's clear. If you say it's clear, I see that the snake is an appearance on a rope. I am the rope, or I'm nothing. Huh? It's clear. So, even if you say rope, snakes and whatnot, you know you are not that. It's so clear. But if you say with the mind, oh, it's clear, it's like you had a kind of smart intuition or something, an experience of clarity, and then that will be veiled again. So it's not clear. It's not true. It's not really clear. You understand what I say, but you don't click to that because you keep your mind. Or prove the contrary.
Okay, but let's start from here. How can I not keep the mind then?
Who speaks?
I.
And why you think you will get a tremendous answer, which will stop you? Why you still believe the presentation of your question, of I, who presents the question? Why? When I said to you, the mind will not help. Don't go there for once. That will be real clarity.
Okay. What can I do with this habit to ask again? How
And
to
why
not
you go there again? Who is asking that question?
Because it's happened many times.
Why you go in the past? Yeah, but you see, with this attitude, you go back to the mind.
Yeah.
You hear satsang fresh for the first time. You have done self-inquiry for 20 years, but it will be once, now. The same thing you knew, it works. But if you say, oh, I did it 100,000 times and it never works, that is the comment of the mind, which doesn't allow you to have a moment of now, fresh. Satsang, you see, you know very well, it says always the same thing. You may need some years to understand. After, if you still come, you know the whole thing. So it's no more about that, it's about applying what you know. And you hear. The mind will never help you here. What's the mind? Whatever you can express, feel, sense. So at a certain moment, if you are really wishing to realize what you want, you just don't go there. Even if for thousands times you have failed. Otherwise, now we'll never be there.
No, I have to be there now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Can you be not there?
I think I see.
Why you go there? I think I see. Why you go there? You have not spot yet what is the mind. I think I see it is the mind, the talk of the mind. No? So be vigilant. I don't tell you to, how to say, to reject that or to stop that. I just tell, be vigilant. Oh, the mind speaks. Let it speak. I'm not going to listen. With no conclusion. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm not yet realized. No, with no conclusions. Because it's again the mind which talks. You know, remember, the mind is carnivorous or cannibal. Is a cannibal. He wants to eat everything which is there. He wants to own it. He lives on that. And he created bondage, the idea of bondage, so the idea of freedom. Let's be freed from that. Yes, please.
Hello.
Hi.
So, I see that I'm not the body, and I see the thoughts, so I'm not the thoughts, I'm not the mind, and then not much is left.
Yes, what is left? There is one thing which is left.
One thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is it?
I cannot express it, so I couldn't locate it or objectify
And who
it.
asked the question?
That's what I don't know.
I
I.
asked the question. Yeah, I. That's left.
Yeah.
So, what is left and you see it, you may not touch it.
I may not touch it.
Yeah.
Ah. I cannot touch it anyhow.
Then you are free.
But
But so that's why I was not believing you. You touch it. If you touch I, you see, means you are engaged with but is possible to be expressed because I second for real, because you place yourself on I. That's what I say. What was left when you declare I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. Right, but still I is there. I was this knowledge. Otherwise there is no problem with I, but I with this knowledge. So I said to you, don't touch it now. There. Good. That's your natural state, you know. And don't make anything out of it. Otherwise, I again is there. You see? You see. When you want to ask something, you can tell. Huh?
Can help me translate?
Sure. Is it okay to do it now?
Yes.
Question. Mi az a fajta, ami eltakarja a valódi önvalómat, hogy hogyan, miből alakul ki a hamis identitás, hogy vagyok én, és az eltakari fajtot húz, az a valami.
Which is the wall which covers my real self.
Miből alakul ki a hamis identitás, hogy
Out of what does this false identity is coming?
Under what?
Out of what?
Out of what?
How
Of yourself, of your real nature. You see, your real nature expresses itself all the time. Maybe you have to translate.
Magadból jön ki. Az igazi természetedből. Ez az igazi természet kifejezni magát.
It's a good sign. You don't like so much to go in your mind. A good sign. Okay, then. Useless now. Yeah, so your real nature expresses itself all the time. Let it be with activity, let it be with quietness. You see. And there is nothing wrong with the self, with the real nature. But for some reason, when there is an expression, that, this I cannot explain, that took himself for the expression. There is an identification. And that's the trouble. But don't ask me to solve that mystery. So, where are you left now? Will you ask this question again somewhere else? Because it was not well answered. Yes? You will ask? Okay, why will you will not ask now? You tell me.
nincs rá válasz.
Because there is no answer for that. For this question.
I want a better answer. Because it's irrelevant. It is the preoccupation of the mind. and you are in satsang to realize your real nature, not the mind. Yeah? So I can answer your questions because we are new to each other, but know that the mind asks, and who knows about the answer. You can take it with your mind, or you can take it directly from where it comes. So don't hesitate if you still have a few questions.
No question.
Good. Where are you left when you have no questions?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Very good. And don't try to know. Be that. Just be it. You are that. You are that.
Ez a vicc benne, hogy
This is the joking.
ma most az vagy, amit állandóan megpróbál átakarni átadni.
I'm already that what my mind wants to cover from myself.
I don't understand. My mind wants.
To cover what
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, but you know it's the mind. So you will not be impressed by what the mind does. It goes on changing all the time anyway. And the same mind at some point will say, oh, I'm free, finally I'm free. Don't even go there.
Valójában minden kételkedés és minden elégedetlenség az elme.
All my doubts and all my satisfactions. Unsatisfactions is the mind.
Yes. You see, it's very important to know what is the mind. Very important. So, is there anything escaping to be the mind? No. Accept what you are. Who are you, Chris? You are no more Chris, huh? What was your name? I forgot your name. What's your name?
Christian. Oh, Chris is okay.
I didn't give you a name?
No.
Ah, good. Okay, so how are you?
very good, but still searching.
Really? So you are not good.
No, that's not.
Still searching. What? What do you search?
Probably some images which...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me your image. Give it to me.
This perfect clear nothing.
Perfectly nothingness.
Yes, perfectly pure, clear.
It is
Unseen.
perfectly clear,
Yes.
but it includes many things. Why should you be a fanatic of perfectly clear? You will become a Nazi then.
That's maybe why I search it.
No, but it's...
Yeah.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
So don't go there. You see, everybody carries his own archetypes. And this is one archetype, of course, a purity, and everybody has a different concept, but still it's about purity. And so what you are actually is totally pure, because it cannot be touched by anything, even if the mind presents impurities and purity moments. And there is nobody, so you are not a fanatic there. Otherwise, you see, it's like, don't forget, all this manifestation is already the manifestation of yourself, of what is common to all beings. So why should we think it's not perfect? In duality there will be appearance of imperfection and perfection, we know that. And there is duality as soon as there is an expression, we know that. And we are in satsang not to confuse ourselves with the expression, with the appearances. So be reminded that you are always yourself from where all this expresses itself and goes on changing.
Whatever I say now is... It's only this... it's a search of I, what is left then. I is looking for a landing place.
But did you hear what I said?
Yes.
How can your search stay if you hear what I say?
Because I didn't drop it somewhere. I didn't drop it.
Yeah, so you didn't hear what I said. Okay, next time. You see, that's why in tradition, and they are right, they speak of attachments. It's not only sexual attachments, it's also these ideas, those concepts, where we cherish a few concepts. You are attached, that's why You don't want to let it go, even though at the very moment you are attached, you could drop it because you see the truth of what is expressed. But you don't want to leave it. Or because you trust that that cannot be what you hear in satsang, but because it has to be like this, through belief, or through attachment simply. Oh, I love it so much, that it should be like this. It is not as you think. So, I just explain. Huh? I always, because I don't have many stories, so I always say the same one, but it struck me so much. There was someone who loved Papaji very much. He trusted him and all, but Papaji was no more alive, so. And he came sometimes to satsang also. And he had this attachment to this concept of perfection. Perfection, you see. Someone who realizes as a perfect behavior and things like that, as we all pass through, but he was very much with that. And so I indicated what had to be indicated, and then he left forever telling me, if enlightenment is not with this perfect expression, I don't want this kind of enlightenment. And he left. You see, and so it happens, but I mean, for me, I was struck, one can be so attached to one concept. Bond, it's a bondage. Yeah. And the moment of realization is a moment of total, uncompromising moment. You cannot keep anything. And you understand why, otherwise I is too much, I is there. So... Yes.
And this week there was a night that I saw the tangle of the thoughts and feelings and concepts and images, and I feel how that is a prison.
Yes.
That holds me all my life.
Yes.
And
that's it, That's it. You have seen that. Oh, lucky you are to have seen that. Is it like this now?
yeah, it is say something more about it?
Yes, exactly. It's enough. It's a lot. You said a lot. So you are left with what was always there, with yourself, with that. And all the rest will play on you.
But immediately there comes a thought, is it also the mind?
Don't listen.
Everything you say is taken by the mind. Even when I hear you say, the self reveals itself to the self, through the self. The only way I can take it is through the mind. So like,
Yeah, right.
it's even though that's not a concept, in a way it is a concept. There's a
Yeah, but you see, if you don't make comments, what happens when you say, okay, the self reveals itself? Where are you left when you say that and you don't go to any comment of the mind? No, but be quick. I mean, just...
Oh, there's nothing.
Okay, then be nothing. And this nothing is not what the mind says. You are always that. But you always want to put a color, an experience, an understanding. You are always that. Why? Why you said do that? Who negates the mind? Why you listen to the mind? It didn't help you so far. Makes you suffer.
I can't take that nothing like it.
Who is this I? What you are is not to be taken. It's already there. So I has to shut up. I can speak, but why should you listen to its lies? Tell me no. Tell me no. Why should you listen to your mind? He lies, okay? He's a liar, and there is not a single time he's not a liar. So why should you listen to your mind? Tell me that.
It seems I can't stop.
Oh,
It seems
that's
like,
the concept. I don't say to stop the mind, okay? I say you see that the mind is, but you don't go there. It's very different. I don't ask you to stop. It's impossible to stop, except if you are a yogi, you learn to stop. Anyway, it's not a real result. So, you know that your mind comments, yeah? Yeah, you know very well, that's why you tell me. But why should you get curious, interested, or believe that what he says is right?
because there's the belief that as I hear, the mind is a tool. It's a tool that
Not for here. When you never came to satsang, you have many questions. It's a good tool. I always say, better to be clear in the mind. But by now, unless you are not supposed to ask me questions, I think you are quite clear. You are quite clear about the subject. Okay?
yeah.
Next step, sometimes it doesn't need steps, but sometimes it's like that. Next step is to apply what you hear. And you hear, the mind will not help you here. So don't go there. I don't tell to you to suppress, to control. Don't go there. Even if it is the extraordinary best question ever which will enlighten you, you don't go there. And not only once. The time you dedicate for this, you don't go in your mind. Don't be interested by your mind. That's what I tell him. Don't go where your mind say, oh, if it is still the mind, don't go there. Because you see, when you heard, you listen to me now, when you hear, first of all, you may forget that sentence, but the self reveals itself, means the mind doesn't need to be there, okay? When you hear that sentence, if you don't listen to your mind after, where are you left? Exactly where the sentence brings you. But it's because you listen to your mind that you feel then it's an understanding by the mind. It's the mind. That's why it's very important to listen also. Don't do anything with that. Otherwise, suddenly you will be transformed into a new bondage or into a new visions or to what a teaching whatever, don't do anything with it.
I'm fucking torturing myself. Fuck.
Fucking what? But this is the mind. Yeah, it's fucking. Doesn't matter. Who are you? You see, one is really fascinated by what's happening. Yeah? What's happening. So, of course, it's a total different direction, but from where do you see those things? From where? And you have even if it is a split second, you have a moment where you don't go into the fascination. You go, from where? And there it is. That's what you are. Hmm? Yeah.
Um, so, what I try to describe is relating my search. That I can see that I'm searching because I'm waiting for something like that satisfies me. Because I'm searching for satisfaction.
Good luck.
But all, I just want to describe that this mind will always search for that. And that there is no satisfaction or satisfaction.
Don't ask how the mind is going on. Once you demystified it, who cares? But it's good you see that your mind wants satisfaction. And does he know that it will be temporary eventually? So will you spend all your energy into that? Then it's okay. Where do you spend a few moments? If it is not into that, where is it? You don't give moments to be freed from that. Oh, a living being would be made not to prefer to be in the sun rather than, I don't know, some people prefer the contrary, but for me, for example, in freezing rain, prefer to be in a circumstance more happy than one who is not. But it's not about that. You don't depend. You see, to be freed is not to depend on those offerings. You know the nature of the mind. What do you expect? So there is nothing wrong that the mind wants to be satisfied, but if you believe that the mind can give you more than a temporary satisfaction, that's a mistake. It's a wrong understanding.
What I wanted to express is that this is what I wanted to believe, that if I am free, let's say, then this is satisfaction. This is a satisfaction that will be never. I wanted, so I attach something to it.
Yeah, attach something to it.
Because for the mind it's nothing.
I mean, this is the difficulty, you see. One has this concept. Okay, you get realized, so the life will become, as this written, bliss, love, machin, have all the qualities of the paradise. Okay, yes. It is so, but it is not so as the mind conceives. Okay, so it's the same as to believe, oh, then, the realized one will have a perfect behavior. He will always be happy with wide open mouth because he's always happy. Or he has the smile of the Mona Lisa permanently. Or, these are ideas. Very dear. As human beings, it's totally natural to have those ideas. But are you only a human being?
I hope not.
Realize it. Don't just depend on a hope. Realize it. And then those questions don't come. Who cares? Who cares? Things happen. That's a freedom, I tell you. That's a freedom. Not to fix a little bit here and there in the life. That's a freedom. So go for it. Yeah.
There's one question I haven't been able to drop, and
Yeah.
it's this quest or this desire to understand why we're in this body and what we're even doing here. And
If you were not here, you could not realize. What a pity.
but isn't the realization is beyond the body?
Yeah, but you need a body to realize it. A human body on top. Not a male or female, but a human body. You need an incarnation to desire to know the real nature of what is, from where you really come from. Not from a womb, but this womb, from where? From where these ideas, this I rises. You need an incarnation for that.
I think it's like what she was pointing to, the one looking for the contentment or the continuity, and it seems that in this body that isn't the case.
Yeah, in the body it's not the case, sure. What is a body? What is a body? A concrete thought. I mean, it goes on changing. The proof. I mean, we knew maybe 2 years ago, and now I have a bit more of this. It goes on changing. So I'm not the body. But who can see that it goes on changing? What is it?
So why would the body bring the realization when we just automatically be in it without the mind trying to understand?
But it's not like that. It doesn't happen like that. The proof. And who would be there to speak about this? Who would be there to to have realized what is. Even if there is nobody there, but still, don't worry, when you die, there is nobody. Then who speaks of the self? Nobody. We took an incarnation to realize that. Not to be obliged to take other incarnations to again ask this question.
But the speaking of it brings the separation as well.
No.
No.
Why? I don't feel I am. No? Why? Then what is satsang? It's not, words are spoken through the mind, but it's not from the mind. Then where is the separation? You know? Those ideas, they go